Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Olivia Wiles. If you've never been here before, I am a sophomore in college, and for the last 2.5 months I have been studying abroad in Barcelona, Spain. But obviously with all of the craziness and the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, I have been sent home and my study abroad program has been ended early. And I basically just wanted to kind of give you guys an update, what happened, what it was like when I was in Spain, kind of like the timeline of how everything was developing in Spain. I also wanted to talk a little bit about being intentional with all of this newfound time that we have and just kind of how to make the best of it and to look back on this as a time that you can say you made the best of the situation. So my study abroad program started in January and I left at the very beginning of January right after New Year's and arrived in Barcelona, and at this point throughout January everyone was just kind of mentioning like coronavirus in China, but it wasn't really like a realistic thing yet that it was coming here. End of January, early February was when it started developing in Europe. We're mostly starting to hear about it in Italy, but there were a couple cases here or there in other countries. And then towards the end of February was when things got really bad in Italy, and it was, so they were starting to be raised to like a level 3 by the CDC, non-essential travel prohibited. So then at the very end of February was when one of my best friends actually got sent home because she was studying in Rome. I would say towards like the end of February, mid-February, end of February, I was definitely like, okay, things are getting worse, but I really don't think that I'm going to be sent home. I'm just going to be switched to online. I'm planning on sticking this out. was basically my whole mindset, and that changed very, very, very quickly. Everybody else kind of thought it was crazy too. It was like as long as you are being safe, don't travel to Italy basically, like you're fine. This is just kind of an overreaction maybe. Well, nobody knew. My professors all thought that it was like dumb, for lack of better terms. Now it's going to get more specific because we're into March. So March 1st, travel, I got an email saying that travel was restricted to Italy. I wasn't planning on going there anyways. The university was starting to tell us things that are like for certain that we can't do. Probably got like 7 to 8 emails a day about coronavirus, which was really stressful, really anxious all the time, always like checking your phone and seeing all these emails about the coronavirus. And I'm looking at my iPad right now. I have like a whole timeline. Around like March 2nd and 3rd was the first time that it started becoming like a thing in Spain. It's really just showing up in Madrid. And then the next day, March 4th, we got an email. My study abroad program was with IES. They were basically saying like, as of now, nothing's canceled. You could go to all online, but like you're cool to stay. So on March 9th, we got an email saying that if we went on independent travel, so like a weekend trip to a country where they had more COVID cases than Spain had, so technical, then our host families, our roommates had permission to like kick us out basically if like they felt uncomfortable. Those numbers change overnight, and like, I don't know, I thought that it was weirdly specific, but whatever. Also on March 9th was when the governor of Ohio declared a state of emergency. Hearing that like my home state was going through that, and then things were so uncertain where I was, and it was just very crazy. Then on March 10th, I go to Miami University when I'm at home, canceled all their in-person classes until April 12th. So just for a couple of weeks, but it was still crazy because they were switching to online, and like there were no cases in the Oxford area at the time, so everyone thought that it was kind of crazy, but it was recommended by the governor of Ohio to do it, so it makes sense that they all acted on it. And then on that same day, my IES program, IES Barcelona, switched to online for all in-person classes for 2 weeks. That was our date, was 2 weeks. And then on March 12th was when things like turned, like you're going home. I was woken up at 3 a.m. which back home was like, I don't know, 10 p.m. with the news that Trump had announced a travel restriction from Europe to the US starting in like 48 hours. I like literally went back to bed because it was very clear, in my opinion, that Americans were still able to go back. Like it definitely, like Europeans were going to be restricted from going back, but everybody's just trying to figure this out on their own, and there's no really clear information coming from many sources. It's all kind of ambiguous, and make the decision that you think is best for you. I knew that I was still going to be able to get back into the US, but Trump saying this was what made me realize, like, okay, this is incredibly serious and I'm probably going home. I don't know when, but I'm probably going home. So at 7 a.m., so literally 4 hours later, I got an email from Miami University saying that all of the European study abroad programs were just canceled. Done. Everything was just canceled, and it basically just said that we were required to get home as soon as possible. I remember like being upset for like maybe 20 minutes, and then I literally just, honestly, this has been like so long in coming. Even though I've been kind of like in denial, saying that like I'm gonna stick it out, I knew the whole time that there was a possibility I was going home. I think I just didn't really want to think about it. There's no use in freaking out and being upset. I just need to like book my flight, get home, and then go with the flow, see what happens next. Later in that same day, March 12th, I got an email at 3 p.m. saying that Spain closed all of their universities, not just in Madrid, but all of their universities for at least 2 weeks. Everyone was kind of freaking out and just like talking to their parents, booking flights. That evening, March 12th, I did book my flight to go home, unfortunately. We were going back and forth about which day I was going to leave, like me and my parents, and eventually I was like, just don't ask me my opinion anymore, because I can't decide when I want to go home. I don't want to go home. Please just like decide for me. And thankfully my university said that they were going to reimburse us a certain amount of money for like flight changes to go home, so that took away part of the stress in booking a flight, because I wasn't going to be able to change my other flight, because I called Delta to change my original flight to return home May 20th, and there was a wait time of 8 hours to speak to a representative. So that wasn't going to happen. My home university in Ohio canceled face-to-face classes for the rest of the semester, and so even though I wasn't there, I definitely like felt that one too. Like that hurt, thinking that all of my classmates and like my sorority sisters and friends and everyone had to just move out and go home when and then also on March 13th my roommate left, so then I was like just chilling at my host home by myself with my host mom. And I also had like my last fun Barcelona day, I would say, on the 13th, which was a Friday. I actually did have a really good day. I went outside and you could like feel that there were less people out, but it was still very much business as usual, but it was just like there's less people. I went out and had like my last Spanish breakfast. I went to mass in my favorite church, Barcelona Cathedral. I spent like the day in my favorite neighborhood in Barcelona, which is Gracia, and it was honestly just really nice. I went to Mount Tibidabo by myself, and it was really cool. I'd been wanting to go there all semester, but I just went to the big church that they have on top of the mountain with like Jesus just overlooking the whole city. Is so cool. A really nice way to end, I guess, the trip, if there had to be a way to end it in the middle of March. And then I went home and I cooked a dinner for my host mom. So I really wanted to cook for her. I made her dinner and it was so nice. We just had like, you know, like I said, if things had to end, it was a good way to end it. I was also supposed to leave for Ibiza that day, but instead I was not. And then on March 14th, Spain issued a 15-day state of alarm, which is definitely a big deal. Everyone is basically restricted from movement outside of the home except for like really important things. Grocery shopping or work basically is it. So that was like my last full day in Barcelona. I went outside once to literally get fresh air, just to like walk to a supermercat, which is like a supermarket basically. And I got like a bunch of Spanish snacks and candy and stuff that I wanted to take home. And honestly, it hurt going out there because I saw the city in a way that I really would have preferred to not see it. I was on like one of the busiest streets in Barcelona, and like people are everywhere. And it's exciting, I love it. But that day I was walking down that street and I could literally count on two hands. I could count the amount of people that I saw, and it was really scary and eerie. And just sad, honestly. That was kind of when things started changing for me, where I was like, honestly, I don't even want to be here anymore. This isn't the Barcelona that I want to see. This isn't the Barcelona I want to experience. This is just kind of dark and scary. I pretty much just packed the entire day. I went to my friend's apartment and actually packed her things too, because she had to be like rushed home because she was on a weekend trip somewhere that weekend and things just got really bad really quickly and her parents flew her home. So I packed her stuff for her and brought it with me to the airport. And then March 15th was a Sunday, just this last Sunday, and that was when I left for the airport. I left at like 6:30 a.m. I had to say goodbye to my host mom, which spare you the details because it was depressing, but I felt really bad having to leave her. She's older, so she's really scared to be left alone. Airport was crazier in Barcelona than it was in the States, strangely enough. Check-in was prohibited to do online, so the check-in line alone took 90 minutes. Which was crazy, but like luckily enough I knew you got there like 3 hours early, so everything went okay. It just took a long time, and I landed in JFK. JFK was crazy because we weren't allowed to get off the plane. We actually had the CDC, so the Center of Disease Control, boarded the plane and took all of our temperatures before we could get off, which was kind of crazy. My temperature was good, thank God. Had a couple of hours to just like journal and stuff. 9:30 was when I landed in Ohio and got home, you know, around like 10:30 or something. It was kind of like confusing at first because I got to the airport and like my dad just wasn't there, and I was really confused why he wasn't there. And my dad works in healthcare, so he decided to stay at a hotel that night to figure out if he was even allowed to live with me because I was coming from a level 3 country and didn't want to not be able to basically go to work and do his job and help others. Thankfully, he got the clear. As long as I wasn't showing symptoms, he was okay to like stay here. But I'm still technically supposed to be doing like self-isolation and staying away anyways, so even though I'm symptomless, I'm still, you know, self-quarantining and stuff like that. And then on March 17th, I woke up early just because of the time change and stuff. I was literally up at like 5 a.m. and just journaled for a couple of hours. March 18th was when I like buckled down, really started like getting back into my school vibe again. And that was also the day that my sister came home from Thailand, and she was an English teacher there for a couple of years and just came home permanently because, I mean, she was planning on coming home anyways, but she had to come home like a month earlier because all the traveling she wanted to do was basically impossible. And then March 20th is today. That is the whole timeline. So the next thing that I kind of wanted to just touch on really quick was just encouraging everyone to be really intentional about this extra time they have at home. So I know that it's like really easy to kind of look at your situation that you're in now and saying like there's nothing to do, being at home sucks, I would so much rather be doing this, and like trust me, I'm supposed to be doing something very different than I am doing now. I decided for myself really early on that I want to be intentional with this time. I want to like feel like I'm still enjoying what I still have in front of me. Everybody's situation is so different. I am so blessed to have a family to come home to. I do not take that for granted, but no matter what situation that you're in, I really encourage you to try and make the best of it. I made like a list of things that I want to do, different like goals that I have with this extra time. I'm just going to read you some of the ones that I came up with. I really encourage you guys to make your own kind of list like this. Obviously finish my classes. One of like my main goals for studying abroad was just to really improve my Spanish skills so that I'm not there anymore. One of my goals is to read at least 3 books in Spanish. I want to watch like a movie every week in Spanish at least. I have some goals like professional kind of goals. I want to teach myself more about the stock market, like watching different YouTube videos or something like that, just increase my knowledge of it. I want to start reading more of the Bible. I want to specifically start doing like the daily readings after like my quarantine period and stuff. I want to reach out to like the elderly and those with kids to kind of see how I can help. I want to clean and organize my bedroom, minimalize my stuff. I want to research internships for next summer, research some more post-grad options. I really want to join the Peace Corps, but I'm also like open to seeing what other types of like volunteer organizations I could get involved with, so I want to research that more. I want to scrapbook my time in Spain. I want to cook every night with my mom. I want to pick up my soccer ball again. I played soccer for several years, like 13 years of my life. Those are just some of the goals that I created for myself. I encourage you to make your own little list. I hope that you stay safe and just try and use this time the best that you can, and we are all going to get through this together. So have fun at home, guys, stay safe, and I will talk to you later.